So let me just check those who are logging in. Please just let me know if you can hear me, if I'm audible, if I need to change anything. Because sometimes you fly a little bit blind. What a conversation we had today. Hey, Kaizer Chiefs. Hey. Very divisive. Kaizer Chiefs. When you have to come speak about it outside. Hey, people can try man. Hey, la dirata di team talona. But it's fine. We'll still have these conversations, still go out and have these convos. Those who are jumping in right now, please just let me know if I am audible. Please just let me know if you can hear me properly. And then we can go ahead and start. We've got two very interesting topics for today. One of the topics that I have here is that we're going to speak about a statement that SAFA released. SAFA came out and released a statement speaking to rumors about Lucas RADEBE and how they feel about that. Thank you so much for the confirmation for me. And then we're going to speak about scouting, and more specifically, when teams bring players in, our local teams bring players in, do they do the work of scouting? Do they do the work of getting them in properly, checking them out, knowing what they're signing? I want to have those two conversations today, but I'm going to go ahead and start the show. Welcome, everybody, to the Overthinking Football Show. My name is George Mokwena. I am your host. This show is on every Monday to Friday, 12:30 in the afternoon, and then also Monday to Wednesday at 8 p.m., including watch-alongs of the big three, Sundowns, Chiefs, and Pirates. Where possible and where feasible, we go out and we watch those games together here. If you want to watch any of the previous episodes, it's not just those watch-alongs, not just reviews of matches. We do speak about some matters that are at the core of South African football, and those conversations are available in full on Facebook and on YouTube with the panels, with everything. Everything is there. If you've ever listened to the show, you've watched the show, or you're wondering when you've watched it, how these voices that magically appear on my panel, where they come from. They are on TikTok. So you have to be following me on TikTok. Join me while I'm live on TikTok. And then I will let you in. A button at the bottom of the screen that says multi-guest will appear. Click on it, request, we come in. So I'm going to start us off with Lucas RADEBE and SAFA. I can say him 2000 if you know who. Kemang o naman ki Lucas RADEBE, Ru, as we know him. Okay, so rumors have been swirling about Lucas RADEBE coming out and running for the SAFA presidency. I know we've wanted Danny Choran out for so long that every year there's names that are thrown in. Ria Pierre, Doggies have been mentioned. And now Lucas RADEBE seems to be the latest big name that has been mentioned to take over that seat of the presidency of SAFA that is held by Danny Choran, has been held by Danny Choran for a while now. And SAFA actually took the time to come out and release a statement condemning these rumors and what was said. So I'm going to read the statement, then I'm going to open it up, and we're going to talk about this SAFA statement about Lucas RADEBE, or rumors around Lucas RADEBE, and also speak about the SAFA presidency as a whole. So this is what the statement said. 27 November 2023, statement by SAFA Membership Committee and endorsed by the National Executive Committee. We have noted a series of articles in Sunday newspapers indicating that former Bafana Bafana captain Lucas RADEBE is going to be the president of the South African Football Association. Okay. Number one, it must be noted that the SAFA election was held in 2022 for a period of 4 years, making the next election due for 2026. Don't question me about the words and the sentence and the structure. I'm reading it as is. 2, it needs to be noted that unlike the USA election, SAFA elections do not vote for a president only. The election is for president, national and provincial members. Elections are for all NEC positions. Number 3, the voters are the 52 regions and associate members. 4, any person who hopes to be president must be nominated by any of the constituent groups and must pass the integrity test. We are not just voting for the president. Again, just a reminder, not just president. 5, the governance committee will then publish the list of eligible candidates. And then number 6, we are in the meantime, we are focused on delivering football programs as per our mandate, and this include, and they go on to list things like the ABC Motsepe League, Bafana's preparation for AFCON, Banyana qualification for WAFCON and 2024. All in all, 10 points under that. Then at the end, they say the point we are making is that we are busy with football and we will not entertain trivial distractions. We will not entertain trivial distractions. So, I want to speak about, is SAFA correct in taking out this statement, and are some of the players really, should we look at our older players, Aboru, as the people who should be running South African football, or is it just a want that we have, and we're not necessarily backing it with the facts? So I'm going to open up the lines. So feel free to jump in so we can have a conversation about this here topic, speaking about Uru possibly becoming the chairperson, the president of SAFA. Let me just check here. Sorry, yes, there's just a bit of a thing. At the bottom of your screen, there's a button that says multicast. Click on it, jump in, and we can have that conversation. So for me, it's very shocking because these are rumors. These are rumors, and it's rumors that SAFA has not spoken about previously. SAFA has not dealt with any rumors and alleged situations that had to do with Abu Ria and how Abu Tani Choran won previous elections. They've not come out and spoken about allegations as to where monies have been spent and all of that. And it's very telling that this is where they end up jumping in, and actually saying that, no, we are going to address this. And I think it actually points to a little bit of fear. And I'm not saying for me that Uru is the right person for the job. I'm not saying that he'd be perfect for this and that he does this perfectly and we should put him in. But it seems as though Uru might just have a big enough following that he can make this a conversation that happens in the country. If you remember, those elections at 2022, not many people were actually there. Not many people followed it. Not many people knew about Abu Ausria, who are running for it, Mamria were running for it, and all of those things. So maybe Lucas RADEBE will bring eyes to this thing, and then maybe they won't be able to get away with what they normally get away with. The other pressing issue is, who's releasing these things and what capacity are they releasing them in as members of the NEC and members of the steering committee or whatever the committee is called there at SAFA? Because that points to what happens when elections come around again and now we have to pick people. If Aboru are running and already they are looked at like this within SAFA and these statements are endorsed by the NEC and taken out by the NEC, does that maybe point to these elections when they do run and people come in not being able to win because already most the people who are voting or inside look at you a certain way? Velile, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Hey, ngiyaphila mntakababa kunjani?
Right, man, right, mntakababa. Tell me, now indaba, rumors of Lucas RADEBE becoming president of SAFA, SAFA keep his statement. Where do you stand on this this situation, generally?
Rumors will always be rumors, mntakababa. Ama-rumor. SAFA has issued out a correct statement. So, in a way, Yoguti, Abaru, they just like to be stubborn for something, for nothing. Lucas RADEBE has retired from football for a long time. And if he really cared about us and he really wanted this position, yes, SAFA, personally, if he got that ambition of becoming the SAFA president, he should have started with the process long time ago. Because you could see, laphana kunama-politician akusilulungena. They've put on the processes that make it difficult for anyone just to contest for that presidency. It's the same thing that happened, remember, that time whereby they've put a rule yokuthi if you are not in an executive member, you cannot contest for the president. You have to be an executive member. I think it was for 2 years of how long. And that's the system that kicked out the likes of Dennis Jordan before. If you remember, they couldn't contest because they were not part of CAF executive committee at that particular time. So, mabisakana 20 years ayekudlala. Surely, if that's why if they had that ambition, yena, he should have only started ngaleso sikhathi leso, because that process has been there for such a long time. Yokuthi you must be a member of the local football platform, contribute to the local football platform, graduate according to the stages nani because the way ingakhona ivaliwe indlela angeke izivuleke unless maybe if any other cabal that will emerge there SAFA that will fight this from inside to change that rule. But manje, because now it won't be easier, because the Jordan and his cabal, they've made sure the members that are there they're his cabal. That's why now ubone abosisi Mamuri kwatile seba-challenge, but naba-challenge sekulate. The time they were still benefiting under the Jordan, they kept quiet. She has been there since I think it's restart. She has been there. We have the restart, I think, is maybe before vote or not vote 94. If that time. Dala, and she's been there as vice president or head of women's football. She didn't do anything. But now, just because the system didn't favor you while you're inside on Usasep Konapagati, they kicked out and now you start complaining. Ru, fight, guys. Go to your local association. Try to change those rules from there inside. Come up so that we can change this thing. Campaign, or maybe there are people who are campaigning for you. If they're inside and leaking that information, they want you to represent them. But at the same time, as long as if you're outside, you'll never. Kuzoba omunye futhi akhumbula saba nabona emathandana ungazi bavele kanjani like president. Some of the people maybe they don't even know who was a president called Kirsten Namatandana. So to show his seriousness, and I hate this thing here about footballs. They are so influential. Even they even have own stands. Google leads Britain, but I've never even heard of them taking one player South Africa. That's for trial. They've got connection. These guys, they can even do that. You can not only do that while you are SAFA president. They've got connection. They can still do that even they're outside of football. But if he really has that ambition to become the SAFA president, akaqale ku-process mdakaba, because makazokhuluma nje sazafunda kuma-article size-safe, and that thing will happen. Because once they've closed that process, bazoyibiza nge-democracy, but we know it's not even democracy. We will never win. She will never win. Hi, God.
It's yes, let me let everybody come in. You know how it goes. I'm gonna go to Kumo. Agent, I'll go in order now that I see it here. I'm gonna go to Kumo. Kumo, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Thank you and welcome back. It's been a minute.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Tell me, Kumo, how do you feel about the statement and the situation?
You know what? I was gonna answer by my lack of knowledge, until very I heard what he said. Like Lucas RADEBE is one of our biggest football ambassadors globally. So from a marketing point of view, it makes sense to show that he's interested. Like, a lot of people are gonna be behind him, especially with the nonsense that's going there at SAFA. Campaigning via public opinion, he's already won our hearts. So he's 30% or even 50% there. Now, the following thing that he needs to do now is to actually follow due process. I agree, you can't just change any institution's rules and regulations. As much as they're corrupt, you have to follow due process. So if he gets to do those stuff, definitely he's gonna win it. Because I know internally people do want to see some changes, and who better to be the face of SAFA? I mean, like, look at what Samuel Eto'o is doing. He's like the biggest legend in Africa, and he's the face of Cameroon. So it makes it easier for sponsorships, for connections from Europe to come, because they know, oh, Lucas Radebe was a legend at Leeds. We can trust this one. Wow. So, and also the way SAFA replied, we can't blame them. I mean, like, if it was me and say, or you, George, saying that I want to be the next thing Jordan, that was going to ignore you. But because it's Lucas, they had to put up a statement, and I don't see any problem with it. Because, like, if it was left unsaid, this was going to be the media and the fans, because you know how we can get. It was going to be a field day where he was going to be trending the whole week. So they were professional in the way they replied, and they showed the steps that needs to be followed if you want to contest to become president of SAFA.
Agent 007, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you, man?
No, I'm good. Tell me, what did you think about the statement and the situation?
Let me start with the statement. I think I would have decided with my Leonard panel, Abuti very reminded me of someone that I forgotten, Mr. Stinik. Wow. But anyways, it's fine. I think for some of us, the only president who has ever mattered, I think, is what is the guy? The guy's a professor now. I'm forgetting his name, but I think it will come. Yeah, the guy's name will come. I think he was there for like less than 4 years, and he did a lot of good, and he was not necessarily a football person. He was an administrative person for me, But for the statement, let me say, if this statement was released by Lesotho Football Association, I'm just saying, I wouldn't. No. I was not gonna have an issue with it, but because it's SAFA, and I've seen SAFA, and I've seen how it operates, and the gangsterism within SAFA, I'm taking it with a pinch of salt. There was a certain ex-referee who wanted to challenge Danny. He was smeared. It was a public smear. They even had to bring up issues of the Pirates and Chiefs briberies in the 09 and how he resigned. So SAFA, the SAFA that I know, is well known for smear campaigns. So when I read the statement, I'm like, is it a case of, like my other panels are saying, a case of responding professionally, or there's an ulterior motive, which I wouldn't be surprised because it's SAFA, and then it also begs the question, will any legend who says, I'm going to run for presidency, are they going to raise a statement? If Dr. Kumalo says, I want to run, are they going to raise a statement? If RADEBE, if whoever says, I'm going to run, are they going to raise a statement? And it's not a, when you release a statement, are you saying that there was a malicious intent, or you're trying to correct something? You don't just release a statement. There must be a correction, I think that's for me. That's what I'm saying. I'm taking the statement with a pinch of salt. Maybe it's from a good heart. That's what I'm saying. If it was another football association, I'll say, okay, fine. Maybe it's from a good heart that's saying they're trying to correct information before the public is misled. But because of SAFA, I'm taking it with a pinch of salt. But from the statement, I think 4 years is too much, ne? 4 years is too much. It's like no, Mr. Lesole, Kumo, Mr. Lesole, now that I remember, he was briefly in. So yeah, I think 4 years is too much, and the fact that you don't have a term limit, it means someone can spend 20 years, whatever, So I think 2 years should be more than enough, for you to imprint and then give others a chance. Or if maybe you have 3 term limits, and if 3 term limits, you're saying you have 6 years, to see what you can give to the game, and then you give fresh ideas, So I think that's one thing that I took from the statement. For me personally, coming to RADEBE personally, I'm not in favor for ex-players running.
Oh, wait. There's going to be one of my questions. Emma Pili.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of my questions.
Let's get credit. Okay.
I'm gonna come back to that one. Velile, I want to speak about SAFA in this. Are the processes, as agents touched on there, are these processes correct? Is the term limits fine? Should it be voted for like this? Are you happy with the way that process is corner, or would you suggest changes? What would you change?
I'm not even happy with the way yokuthi mawungekho wena lana sikhona ukuba ne-show. But if i-network against wena
ngiphume angivotelwanga ngizakhipha isitifiketi la ungitshele njengoBobby ngithi no one voted for me here.
Uyayibona indaba. So phana result amele sikuhloniphe ukuthi hayi cha kuyenzekile lokho. No. The thing ukuthi you see yoba ngisho, and I like the statement sika Bhuti uKhubo makasho ukuthi if now the statement was released by Uru, of which, like he said, international legend, and they will think the sponsorship will come in a normal organization that will play. But unfortunately here in SAFA, the things are not normal there. Their things are not normal. Like I can even tell you, my brother, La Pasirana my comrade. And as I've said earlier on, the said thing, even those now who are coming out now and said we want this and want this, they've been there for all along.
Yeah.
They've been there benefiting, not saying anything, no, with support. And if you look at most of them, even Lava Lapayan, if you can see, they've got a problem with sometimes Ukeza Mutaung no cause. And then they will side no Jordan. Most of them that are there, you can see even those ones that they've been kicked out before. Mandla Shoes Mazibugo, who were running school football before. But back Bangera my comrade, Mwelo Nonkonyana Nabo, Malandilana, vice president. You see, it's sort of like a cabal thing there. So unfortunately, we are not dealing with a normal situation as a corner Gusafa. That process is not correct. You cannot run a football like as if like you are an absolute monarch. It should have been stated like two term, you see, and it must be also open to anyone who is involved in football to challenge it, and then go there. You do your own presentation. You state good where do you want to see South African football going forward, and how are you going to develop our grassroots level soccer? How are you going to attack the sponsorship? But unfortunately, those processes are not open. We are operating like a certain political party. What must say when we know how you are performing and how do you do things, we don't care. You see. So but and also issue agent 4 years is not too much. If look, when were the election this year early or last year?
Last year.
It's already a year now. The likes of Ruenis Kabal, they should always be started to strategize now. Okay, guys, how do we get in there to change those things? Because I can tell you, one you are still, as long as we are still outside, you will never. It took the criminality of FIFA to change those clauses of which they were preventing anyone also to come into CAF and take leadership roles there in order for Umutsi those as again. It's those rules that were changed. Now, Sharan is there, the other cabal guy who they need to campaign start now so that next election they are there. They are pushing for those rules to be changed. If they have to petition the state, why don't you? At least the Mama see they are doing something. As long as you are still talking with the media, want to be president, there's nothing you'll do. You petition the minister, you have to petition the minister. If you have to petition the local football association chairmen who are there, the regions, the provinces, surely maybe they can get one or two there. Try and change those rules and win the next elections. Because as long as we are still talking sisho ngomlomo, but the rules that are there ku-SAFA constitution are not changed, ayikho into engizoyenza bafo, ayikho.
Okay. Okay, let me go to Kumo. I've got the same question for you, Kumo. Are these processes still fine? Like, are these processes okay? What would you change from these processes? Because for me, it feels as though the regions and all of those people are all aligned as to what they're going to do. Even when they release statements like this, for me, it feels as though it's saying, it's trying to drive home the fact that Abo Lucas RADEBE are outsiders, and Tina on the inside, we will not deal with this. What was that last part? There was the last part of where they said these trivial distractions, what. Would you change any of these processes?
My bruh, like, you know, Barry, the fish rots from the head or something along those lines. I mean, like, if you still have Dr. Evan Koza as what COSAF, PSL, why are you complaining about Danny Jordan? One. So the problem is that I'm pretty sure, like, when Danny Jordan took over SAFA, like, he was very ambitious, he had a vision, and he wanted to exercise change because that's how you are. But the problem now with that, when you have so much power for a very long time, you
Absolute
become
power
complacent.
corrupts. Yeah.
Corrupts, absolutely. Yes, I was gonna get there. You took my quote. I had a speech in my head already. Anyway, Namara. But anyway, since you took it, so this guy, he's so horrified. I get at one point, like, he wanted to run for the mayor of Nelson Mandela Bay. So he's done, and he didn't succeed. So SAFA, it's his bread and butter. It's where he has so much power there. He's got influence. Why would he leave? The only thing that we can change, I mean, like, I wonder if Danny wasn't Danny Jordan. He was doing changes. The female sports was having cash, getting proper sponsors. Our football was there. We wouldn't be complaining. But so my point is that the thing that I would change is to make it easier for everyone. So legends like Lucas RADEBE, shouldn't be subjected to going through the things. I'm talking about the processes. I understand that SAFA is a respected institution, but let me tell you why. None of us here, so let's say I'm running for I'm there at Maopani local football association, then I win Tshwane and so forth. You can't say I'm much more qualified compared to Lucas. Right? Because Lucas is a football player, he's a legend, and he has played overseas. So that experience, I can't. You see? So like he should have they should have a category is that if you wanna run for presidency, I get it that they say that you have to be involved in football. He's already ticked all those qualities. He has those. He should be there. And if also I should be there on the basis of I've been doing the groundwork from the grassroots, right? So my only thing is that I wish the 4 year stint can stay, but make it like a presidency. Like you can have maximum of 8 years or even 6 years, based on your performance. Because of like right now, the biggest legacy that Jenny Dojan has done for us is help bring the World Cup. Regardless of how it was brought to South Africa, yes, he used Mandela and there was some allegations of bribe. But the fact is we got to see the first World Cup here in Africa, and that is legacy, right? So now he's complacent, he's doing this and that.
14 years away. 14 years from there.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, but yeah, you see, it's 15 years, man. Why is he still doing that? But Africa, this is like a dictator, Mosi. Yeah, yeah, no, he's being an African because Africans don't wanna step down from power. But yeah, man. So if we can just give him his flowers and give him his retirement package, he's done it. So it's time for us to take it for Lucas, for people like Lucas. For me, he's a Emilia darling. Right? He clearly loves football. He's a local and he wants to contribute. Let's give this guy a chance to stop acting like some ANC factions. I'm not afraid to say it. It's ANC. So let's do it, man. Give this guy a chance.
Allegedly, the thoughts
My
and
views are my
comments
own.
and opinions shared by the panel are not those of overthinking football.
Sharp.
Don't get me in trouble. Agent, I
Or
want to
its
come to you.
members, or its members,
Or
please.
its
Or its
members, please. Even George Mukwena does not speak for overthinking football. Agent, tell me, what processes would you change? How do you feel about the processes? What would you change? They've outlined it. Good to know. You have to be voted for an integrity test, and it's every 4 years, and all of that stuff. How do you feel about the processes that happen there at SAFA in order to elect people?
Okay, so for me, is it possible that I have a visitor? I'll check, but it's fine.
Yeah,
But
man.
anyways,
At this time.
you know,
Eh?
Yeah.
Where's the wife? No.
Okay. We'll come back. Yeah. I don't want my show to become King We are 99 or something here. Let me go to Velile quickly. We'll come back to Agent. Velile, I want to now speak about the crux of the thing. Is Lucas Radebe, is Dr. Kumalo, is any of those people the proper people to come in and run SAFA? Isn't the problem that we haven't let our administrator come in? We've allowed our politician, we've allowed our club owner, we've allowed there's just been a lot of people that we've allowed in, but I don't hear people speaking about actual administrators of football that are running for these things. Is it right for us to be looking to Radebe?
Angazi bengithi mhlawumbe ngoba ubhuti agent ubuyile ukuthi aphendule yokuqala yakhe na.
Oh, Will, agent, no, you can go ahead. Have you checked the alarm system, Chief?
no, everything is okie dokie.
I think we'll just continue with what we were saying, the processes.
Yeah, the processes. I get worried on security calls at this time, but it's fine. Anyways, I think for me, it's a case of it's like the government. I think I'm always against how the government generally runs elections, because I heard them in that statement saying that they don't necessarily vote for presidents. It's like you vote for a pact, like it's president, vice president, committee members. So it's like a faction. So you vote for a faction, And I think that is a problem because that's a problem because it doesn't lead to accountability. The reason why nationally don't hold ministers accountable is because they know even if they don't do anything, they're just gonna get in back.
They're in the collective.
So I think they're in the collective. So I think it's a problem that we don't have to vote for directly or the vice president. We don't even know who is the secretary general. We don't even know who is. So I think that's my first problem because I think also if it's a pact, if I have control of the account and Dennis is my guy, even if we misuse money, nothing's gonna happen because you're in the same faction, So, but if it's people from different factions, they're gonna say, "Hey, man, this guy's wasting our money," and people will avoid corruption because they know that people looking at them and they're gonna expose them. I remember last year there was allegedly allegations that on the eve of elections, the 40 honorable NEC members were given 20 or 28 million or 20.82 million, somewhere around there, to share amongst themselves. So imagine 40 people sharing 20 million. Hey, that's more than 1 million each. Just before elections, and it was titled bonuses in the accounts. So imagine a bonus of 20.8 million, So these are the kind of things where because you're voting for a pact, it's easy to say, let's bribe these people and then they'll vote for us, But if you know it's different people, there's going to be it's difficult to bribe each and everyone. I think you get my point from there. So I think that's the first problem. And then again, the term limit, 4 years is too much. I was hearing every listening to, but maybe 3K fine, but 4 is too much, And I think I would agree with Kume saying a 2-term limit, just like presidents. Presidents, we know, even if what does Malema call him? Yeah, Buffalo, yeah, whatever. But it is Malema said that, not me, eh? So we know we must enjoy him for 8 years maximum, Even if Denny was a bad president, we would know, let's enjoy him for 8 years. And after 8 years, we'll have someone new, So if it's unlimited, then there's a problem. So I think those are the two things that I would change for me.
I think before I move on, I'm going to jump in as well. I think my problem is also the constituency. I think the big issue with SAFA is that there's 57 vice presidents or NEC members. There's 57 of them. There's 4 vice presidents directly under Jordan. There's a deputy, there's a COO, there's a CEO, then there's also Jordan. And I think one of the issues is that if we don't know who's voting, how then do we make sure that the people who are voting are going to be right? Because I feel like the constituency of people who are allowed to vote in SAFA, you have to look at them. Because if you remember correctly, from the 2022 election, he won by a landslide. Not Hanyani, he got over 200 votes. I believe it was 208 votes, I stand to be corrected. And then the next best was Umamria with 21. So that means that the people who are also voting year in and year out, election season in, election season out, are also to be held accountable, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who keep bringing him back. They're the ones who have alleged leads all over the place. And if you don't fix that too, maybe you should open it up a little bit more. Maybe you should have independent parties that can take part somehow in these elections, because at the end of the day, you sit back and you go, oh, but guys, all of this stuff is happening. Like Kumo was saying about the World Cup. Our World Cup bid was 2005. No? The World Cup, they announced in 2006. So 2005, 2004, World Cup bid goes in. That's 19 years. World Cup has happened 2010. From then to now is 13 years. Still in power, still running. Then I ask myself, what about the other guys? How long have the other guys been inside this thing? How long have the other guys been voting? And I think that's my question about that, and why I feel like Danny Jordan and them get away with a lot, is literally because we know nothing about SAFA. How people are hired, how people are fired, how people vote, who gets to vote, why do they get to vote, your local LFA, what's the term limit, local LFAs, can you hold it for 20 years, That's where I think getting rid of the one person is simple, but you have to look at the whole system now. And for me, it's more about information, to be honest with you, and us knowing when, how, and who these people are, and how they get there, and how long they get there. That's what I would change. Maybe increasing the voter base to be non-directly football people, because maybe those directly football people have been there for a while. Velile, now we can move on to the question.
No, think that on your last point. On what you're talking about, on the emphasis of knowing SAFA Pagat, and then knowing who has good SAFA Pagat. This is what I've been saying. Look at RADEBE should have done that long time ago. Because remember, initially he was not inside; he was outside. Remember, when he went to World Cup 2010, he was not the president. He was outside. LOC. And if you remember the time before Kuzongena Matandana, he was contesting the positions, but no Iron Chook. But now, the system that has been created and the rules are SAFA, yabakhatlela boy two, even nabo ngaphandle. He had to come back after LOC, they will come and also start afresh. Inside and campaign to get that position. Because remember, they were disqualified for that position because Dennis Jordan at that point in time, he was the CEO, SAFA, of which it made him not an elected member of ISAF, of the executive committee ISAF. And Iron Chook now, remember, he's not vice president SAFA, but he's not an elected member as a vice. He's vice president because he's a chairperson in PSL. So naye soloko angafuni ukusuka ngale ku-PSL asaqhwakela esituleni ngale angeke aze angene ngapha naye uqede 15 years namanje seyiphelele iminyaka futhi akazimisela wena ngeke aze angene as long as but kuba wakwenza lokho after 5 years I can tell maybe naye kube uyi-president manje yeSAFA, who knows, because now you would have been inside now also naye unawo ama-comrade siyabazi ba ama-comrade boyithu bakunhlangano eyodwa yamaqabane kathambo bonke futhi not allegedly siyazi. So bezoba right. But moving to your second question, Lebo, issue about in terms of administration.
Should we get these older players or should we get administrators? Isn't that some of the problem here too?
I think it goes in both sides. I cannot lean too much on the players. Nabo, if they are former players, surely they must have something that they've taught themselves in terms of administratively of football. Because that doesn't mean if you have played football, then you can become a better administrator because you have played it. It doesn't work like that. Siyabona ubaba omncane kaRulane soloko unenkani akafuni ukuthatha ama-course we-coaching lately ngeke aze applyela akafundi nani uRulane ngoba uyafunda sekasekudeni kabi ubushiya kabi. Uyabona ingane yakhe. So it goes both ways.
Ubaba omncane kaRulane ubani just for labo that don't know. Phela ngazi ukuthi i-bus driver, i-chairman, hey yonke into.
Uchezi number 10 umfoka Mathilela uSondo. Ngoba naye ubuye oqina ikhanda ongafuni ukuthi to learn the new terms as when it comes to football. That's why ngeke uzobenza ukuthi abuye ehlathini kunzima even up until today because you don't want to adapt to the new changes. I am for the former soccer players or the legend, as long as now they could equip themselves in terms of administrative, because though that's a totally different role when it comes if now we have to lead a big institution like SAFA. I feel no more Ubandi just because you've played soccer and then you can master, because you find that sometimes you cannot even manage a soccer team. Like a soccer team, go first division or go multiple foundation, it's true. And then you think you can run SAFA. It doesn't work like that. You equip yourself. You know your weak points, you know your strong points. How do you work administratively to deal with people, different people? Because when you are there going to deal with different people, know the policies, the government policies, the sports and communication policies with sports, even when it comes to government, how do they legislate it? How do you legislate in terms of the sponsorship and the football rights and the commercial side of football? You need to know that. So you have to equip yourself. It's not a problem being a soccer player, as long as Uru has equipped himself to be in that level, knowing all those things, then I thinking. But the system need to be open for everyone. But the cater 40, we need to select the best that we have.
And on that point, I just want to ask a follow-up. Is there a problem, Guti? We don't know who this generation's Trotmolotos are. We don't know who this generation's Prastens are. Who yazi abo Prasten besbazi ukuthi ukhona abo team manager, abo administrator, abo zbanibani. But nowadays, man, outside of maybe abo Thabo Sinong, we don't necessarily know ukuthi singafaka bani administratively.
Yes, we really don't know. But at the same time, we mustn't always close the door in terms of like putting in new people. And there are people who are strong administratively. If we put you as a CEO, SAFA, we will put you there based on your strong points in terms of running an organization. Let alone just football, but running an organization. You can even come. You can even come from another sporting fraternity, but as long
Yeah.
as you've got management skills and then also the skills that are required to run that organization, that's what I'm saying, because there are so many things that you need to know there. It's not only about managing Ibafana Bafana or Banyana Banyana or about go to meetings, and then there are so many things to learn that you have to equip yourself with. It's not and said I've played it and then I can run it. No, there are so many. It's just it's just that we are denied even. It's not only South Africa has nale yonkinga leyo. It's not only in soccer. Even if you can go in our politics, you go to a conference just because kuthiwe hey siyanobani, hey ubani comrade ufuna ukungena nesiyamvotela. That comrade has never is even afraid to debate nomunye umuntu, to the next kind of a person, and put his facts on the table and said, me, I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this, how I'm going to achieve it. As look, we just siyavotela nje ingulube bese sakeni. As long as kuthiwe nje kuya phambili. No. This is it's okay. Soccer now is a serious business. Do you think ICAF, if they don't know administrative or the powersmanship, they will just elected her to him to be the president? ICAF, no. They know that he's got businesses. He operates businesses that creates billions for him, not just billion in rands, but billions in US dollars. So this person, if our organization is cash strapped, surely he can come to the connection. He knows the know-how of running an organization. As a besides the ball, he will have those people who are going to manage football side of it, because you'll hire your technical director who will oversee the technical side of the country, or who care in terms of which coach do you approach, which scout do you look at. There are people that specialize in doing that the way they're doing with Sundowns. We've got specialists in those people. But as long as you've got this person who's got the know-how of just operating any industry and administrative skills, it won't be a problem, Buff.
Okay. Let me go to Kuma. Kuma, same question to you. Should we be looking to these former players? Because it sometimes feels like the argument is that by default, because they were legends, we should look into giving them those posts. Shouldn't we be looking at administrators of teams, people who are actually doing that job on a day-to-day basis? And then also, is that not an issue? The second question, is it not an issue that we don't know who Prasten, this generation's Prasten is? We don't know who this generation's you have Trotmuloto. We don't know who these people are nowadays. Is that an issue?
Yeah, I mean, you know what, ne? We shouldn't be looking at people. Let's say I'm going to use Sundowns. Ne? We shouldn't be taking people from Sundowns to come and run SAFA, because that in its own, it's gonna leave room for bias, right? Even if there isn't there, you're gonna say because of Sundowns, there's so many places at Sundowns, you know what I mean? So we should have people that can do the equal job, because I refuse to believe there's only like 16 people who can do it in the entire country. The reason why we need to have, I mean, like administrative, like we need accountants, we need administrators, we need lawyers, we need people that are good with some technicalities, notaries and stuff, right? That you can easily get from anyone who went to varsity. But then again, those people can do what their skill sets are, which is admin and finance and litigation. But you wouldn't know if they work without having to ask an actual football player. Right? So imagine this. Imagine if you have a legend like Poshia Mudise or a Junior Kane. They know what they cry about because they've been in the front line. They've played football before. They know what happens when they travel to Africa. They know what happens when they play for Hollywood Bets or when they play in the PSL. So we need them as well to come and counterbalance each other. So if you can get the learned people from vets or wherever that have those type of skills, and also use the legends, then we'll have a free-flowing admin. You know, it's gonna be one of the best run globally. So yes, we do need, and also, you know, bruh, we need superstars. You know, a team works when there's a superstar involved. Like for instance, look at La Liga. I have to admit, I don't watch La Liga anymore because there's no Ronaldo or a Messi type of player anymore, right? So I'm not saying Lucas is our Ronaldo or Messi, but we need people like him to actually be the face of SAFA. Because besides having sponsorship possibilities, right? We also can get a lot of people from SA to actually be involved in SAFA, to actually know what's happening, because we've got a star player, someone who's credible, who's likable, and he's there at SAFA, so we can actually follow up on him.
Okay. Agent, I saw the comment. Agent 007. Tell me, you wanted to go into this earlier. Should we be looking at these people by default, or should we be looking at people who do this on a day-to-day? So maybe as a president of a club or a president of something, I have an understanding of what it means to be a president, or as an administrator who administrates for a living within the football space, I have the information, the experience to go and do these things. Like I say, Abu Prasten, like I say, Abu Trotmuloto, who aren't necessarily on the football side of things, or not on the pitch side of things, if that makes sense. Shouldn't we look at those guys? Is it right for us to look at these former players to hold those roles? Number one, and then number two, why don't we know the new administrators? Is it a problem that we don't know the next Prasten?
Yo, those are weird questions, say. But it's fine. I see people are talking about everybody hates Grace, Junior Kanye, one of my nephew's favorite shows. But anyways, it's fine. So on the question, I think for me, I don't lean towards former players. As a general rule, former players generally, especially good ones, generally are bad coaches. So imagine admin. You know, so I'm a bit ambivalent about them. And I think it shouldn't just come with a case of saying, absolute rubbish. But anyways, excuse me about that. Excuse me about that. So, anyways, what was I saying? The train of thought.
You were saying that they shouldn't automatically be put in or taken automatically.
Yes, I think it shouldn't be a case of. I think we mentioned this on, was it Parker, who didn't just say, give me a coaching job, you know, he just got the license out there. So I think they should get sports admin degrees and diplomas and stuff like that before you can consider them, you know. That legendary status alone shouldn't be the go-to, you know, unless if you're Obom Togosisi in the way, at least you have a low degree accompanying you. So it's not just your football knowledge, you know, there's something accompanying you, you know, be an accountant, like have an extra information where you have a skill, you know. And I think for me, again, excuse me, what is important onto your second question, it's all about the direction of where we want to go, you know. Are we trying to address as the way forward the constant bans of our teams, you know, by FIFA? So if that's the next 4 years, if that's what you want to deal with, then it's good to bring in someone with litigation experience, a lawyer, a judge, whatever, you know, someone who can tie in the knots here and there, you know. Or if, like the way Kev wanted money, you know, as the next thing, hence they went for Omotsepe, you know. So even us, we should look for Omotsepe, if, and not Omotsepe meaning, but a person with money, or even Utopia, I mean, just get Utopia, but it's fine. If we want money, you know, so it should be, that's the problem that I have with Danny. We know he has achieved a lot, you know. So if someone comes in and says, I was able to achieve 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm stepping down, then people are able to say, okay, fine, it means 1, 2, 3, 4 not covered. So I have to campaign on this, then I know I'm gonna cover this, you know. Hence there's need for continuity and refreshment of ideas, you know, because you can't be a jack of all trades, you know. Hence I'm expecting football in Africa to money-wise to increase. I don't necessarily expect quality-wise or law-wise to increase, because Motsepe is not a law person or quality person, it's more into money, you know? So hence, when I'm going to judge Motsepe's presidency, I'm going to say, did he bring in enough investments, you know? I think Wabute Velile said a very good thing. That, what was he saying? He said, you know,
Heaven.
I don't know if it's Velilo Okumo. I think I should exit after this. I don't know if it's Velilo Okumo who said, what has RADEBE done? You know, for us, you know, can you just mention one player, just one, not many, just one, and say, ish, man, let me take him to Leeds, you know, because I have that status. Or okay, maybe you can take my banner, maybe Mufukeng, you know, or maybe someone, you know. It's like, let me take him there, and you can say 1, 2, 3, 4 players are playing for Leeds because of me, and I know because in Leeds they will do this. So if he couldn't do it on his personal capacity, can he do it when he's the leader of the organization? You know, if, as someone said it, if he didn't care about the local soccer that he disappeared for 20 years in his personal capacity, what right or what would he do for the league to show that as a CEO he will do better? You know, so this thing is it's small steps. You know, you see now you are on a platform. You're on a platform. You are showing your expertise as a presenter. You know, so. It is natural progression that SuperSport, if you have no shady deals and backpack deals and doggy styles and stuff. Anyways, kids on the shows. I was saying, if there wasn't any backhand deals, natural progression would be, this guy has proven himself that he can be a presenter, you know. Even on his own, he can present, you know, as opposed to taking someone who don't know where he has done. You know, yes, you have a sport analyst, whatever, but have you shown that you can be a presenter? You know, are you able to, in your local community, are you able to hold shows on a local radio? You know, so yeah, I have to exit, guys. I have to deal with the images outside. Something
No
is
stress,
happening.
no stress, no stress. No stress. Go for it. I think for me, I really live here. Emergency man. Really chup. I think for me, the problem with South Africa, with a lot of things is that the actual substance of what needs to be done, like the actual jobs, we never look at who is the best for the job. We look at who looks the best for the job. And I think in a perfect world, Lucas RADEBE would be incredible at it. And I don't even want to go too far because I don't think the statement came from him. But in a perfect world, you'd say the former players are the ones that are running it. Cameroon with Samuel Eto'o, for example. But in SA, we have such a problem with not having someone. We look for the name brands. You have to be a name brand in order for me to listen to the person. And then we end up picking people just because they're popular and not necessarily because they are good. And that's where not saying that Lucas is the wrong person. I'm just asking, why are we picking Lucas? Are we picking Lucas because Lucas has been shown to be the most incredible administrator within his time, and then came out and, you know, like he comes in with all of that, and he was an administrator at Leeds and all of that stuff? No, we're just saying because he was a legend. So by virtue of that, anybody could be that. You have people like Neil Tovey. Neil Tovey's been in the SAFA structures now for years. You have people like Mtogisi. At least Mtogisi ran a team in terms of being a technical director and did some administration stuff. He has it on his CV. But if you ask most people why and who, the answer you'd get is just because. And I think that's what has become the issue with our football. It's just because. And for me, the reason why I asked about the previous guys, who are the best administrators in the country right now? We don't know. We don't know. It was easy for Abobab Kaiser, Dr. Ivan to go, Stan, I'm tapping you up because you've done work at Sundowns 1, 2, 3. Now you can come to Pirates or you can hold a role in the national team. That's how a lot of them got into national structures and things. When apartheid ended and they opened it up, they literally went, who are the best administrators? Oh, Prasten, you're doing very well at Sundowns, I believe it was at the time. You're doing very well at Sundowns. You already do this. We need your expertise. Please come in. But right now, the epidemic that's facing our football is that kusaphetha Denny Choran, kusaphetha Ivan Koza, kusaphetha Dr. Kaiser. Who are the new people? Because they were new people when they were coming up. Who are the new people that are going to come in now that are qualified for these things? Why do we not celebrate them? Why do we not know them? There's plenty of people who are running teams in the country. How come we don't know who the best ones are, for example? How they got there, what they're doing, as we knew about Abu Trotmoloto, as we knew about Abu Prastan. You know, so for me, I'm not one to jump out and immediately say Lucas Radebe is the right person. I'm not one to jump out and immediately say that somebody with a law degree is the right person. I'm not that person, right? But I'm looking for who are the people that have done this, that are doing it, that have a law degree, but also have 10 years experience or 5 years experience in an LFA or 5 years experience running a team somewhere, or even just leadership credibility. As we said earlier, I may not need my president to be knowledgeable on everything, but maybe I need somebody who can be a leader. Motsepe was a leader for Sundowns who then led a ship of people that are good at what they do, and Sundowns is where it is. So when we look at Lucas outside of wearing a captain's armband on the pitch, is it enough for him to lead an organization that has to look out for a lot of things, academies, local football, they listed it in all those things, school sports, budgets, sponsorship, all of that. Can he lead that? I don't know. And when you look at it on the face of it, I don't think he can, you know. But also when you look at Abu Tenichoran Nabo on the same token, very great at winning. We always said SAFA's great at winning bids. But then what else are you good at? So in the same token, bringing in a politician, bringing in a former player for me is the same thing. Bring in people who bring expertise, who can move the stuff forward. That's what we should be looking at for me. We're going to move on to the next topic. The next topic, I want to speak about recruitment in the PSL. I want to speak about recruitment. I'm going to start off by saying what scared me in a press conference that was said by Kevin Johnson was Gonzalez, he still doesn't know how to use him. And there's people that have been there, Dylan Shepherd, Boatazwana still within the framework, and all those guys who were around when certain decisions were taken. It shouldn't be very hard, especially for somebody, for example, with Gonzalez, who's on loan. We've only got a year with him, so you can't necessarily waste time. But then you ask the question, have you gone back and have you scouted him properly when you're doing your recruitment? But I want to start off with a video where Rulani breaks down the process that Sundowns follows when they're doing something as a precursor to the conversation that we're going to have now. So let me just get that right. Then we can just hear this.
A lot of credit needs to be given to the club, and in particular the sporting director, the assistant sporting director in their office, because they use the data, the scouting networks that they had to be able to find and shortlist a couple of players. What then happens is once we shortlisted a couple of players, and Lucas was on a shortlist with about 4 or 5 other players, this only takes place after the report. So of course the season ends, and then we've got to provide a report. The basic thing about the report, it could be 100 whatever pages. The basic thing is, how do we improve this team? And there's a lot of ways to improve the team. There is training, of course, and many other things around the team in terms of the performance. But of course, there are certain positions that we want to improve. And Lucas, when I looked and I watched the games of the players that were on the short list, Lucas had a lot of qualities that I thought would help the team to get to a different level. And Lucas will tell you that there were some exceptional things. Already when I watched Lucas, he was not even playing in the center of the pitch. He was playing as a winger on the right with the left foot to dribble and to cut inside and to create goals. But there were certain qualities that I liked and I saw in him. And when he arrived, I had already prepared a presentation with videos about certain strengths and individual strengths that he already possessed, and that I thought could help the team in a specific position, which was up front as a 9. Even though he wasn't playing as a 9, I think I had to do a lot of work, Beggy knows and Lucas knows, where I had to do a lot of work to try to convince him that not only was this the best position for him, but the best position for the club. It helps when you are speaking to someone with a good heart and who is coachable and also wants to improve, because even in the video clips, there was also some things that I highlighted and I said, must improve, must improve, must improve, because in this team, it becomes very difficult for you to survive if we don't work on some of these things. And I don't want to get into those things because that's a conversation that is between me and Lucas. And I must tell you, honestly, that he has worked extremely hard to work on some of those things. And it's so evident to see on the pitch. He's a very gifted footballer. I still don't think Lucas is even at 70% of his full potential. I think there's so much more for Lucas to improve and to develop.
Okay, that of course was from goal.com. Yeah, wait. That of course was from goal.com. Rulani analyzing some of what they do. And I like it because it gave us a bit of a window into how they scout, how they get the players, how to do the stuff. But I want to have a general conversation about PSL teams in general. Are we scouting good enough? Or are we had a conversation on our WhatsApp group just before the show. Is it just up to agent relationships and people knowing each other, and then I put you in a certain team, regardless of whether you're good or not, regardless of whether you fit that team? Are we, in terms of recruitment, are the PSL teams awake to that? You see a lot of former players, not former players, you see a lot of legends, quote unquote legends, who haven't contributed much at the big teams that they were at, go onto the market, and then they immediately snapped up, and you watch them play, and they don't fit the style of what is happening at that club. You know, you have people like Abu Gonzalez who are brought in on loan, but then 13 games in, you're still asking the question, and the coach comes out and he says, I still don't know, to be honest with you, how to deal with this player, right? So what level of recruitment came in that there's not resources within the club where somebody says to coach, this is why we bought him, these are the videos, this is the report, therefore when you use him like this because we've chosen him like that. There shouldn't be a situation where the coach is still trying to figure out how to use him. But I don't want to be too long in what I'm saying. I want to ask the gents, Kumo, what do you think about recruitment in SA in terms of when we sign players and when we say that I'm bringing in players? Are these players being signed for specific roles, or is it names, or is it agents? Do the teams, for lack of a better term, know what they're doing when they're signing?
You know what, judging by how the teams perform, I don't think they know what they're doing. I think there's a lot of back-end deals, there's a lot of manipulation. Okay, obviously, with the exception of Sundowns, Rolani did say on how they recruit, and most of the people that Sundowns brought, you can see they actually fit the system, and you can see why they were brought on to play for Sundowns. So we're going to give Sundowns a pass on this one tonight. One thing that I've always been for to believe, ne, is that coaches do not have any do not have any what is this word? Any
Like I
choice on who
say,
they
like,
can
oh, okay.
yeah, on who they can bring, ne? And maybe like people like your boy Mutauni, your Evan Causers buy players for them and the coach has to make do. Not only today, I also learned that some agents also have a role in recruiting these people to certain teams. For instance, like let's say a person is going to play for Royal AM. I don't want to speak directly about Mom Kiza, but she's not a soccer person. She's just a person who has money. So as a coach, I'm gonna bring someone like Tembazwane, for instance. Ne? I'm gonna take him from Sundowns and say, if you go to Royal AM, you're gonna earn 30 million, right? And the coach is definitely gonna accept you because as the agent, I'm gonna give that coach 5 million and I'm gonna get 10 million and also get some money there, every season while you are there. So Mam Keys is trying to actually build because he's trusting the coach and he's trusting the agent by getting them proper players. Mara, there's an agenda to actually milk the club. So you ask yourself, what is this player doing there? But the coaches are in it, but the owners are trying to actually grow and actually win some silverware. So corruption here we see in South African football is unmatched, bruh. The things we learn every day of. Now I'm not just gonna blame the coaches only. I'm not just gonna blame the owners. I have to think and say, who are these people that are actually bringing these players and what for reason and who approved? You know what I mean? Because that's my team. We seem to be getting it right. But now I've been opened up to a new whole other level that I didn't know took place behind the scenes.
Okay. Velile, now about Coach
Well,
Wetu, we say this every time, Guti, bane plan A, but it seems as though Magmele Bachinche, Baleta Manyama player, it's almost as if they don't even know them. Guti, hi man. Lo muntu angimazi why bamsayilile, angazi ukuthi ngimenzeni mangimfaka. Here's Kevin Johnson saying that he doesn't know Gonzalez, ukuthi Gonzalez uyenzani, even though it's a 1 year loan for 4 million. We've spent 4 million, for example. What do you think about recruitment, Limesans?
yeah. No, it's challenging. It frustrated when I put on a previous topic. I know what you cool because you know Sadio Mane, you know Joshua, you know what they did before even they could become whatever that they've been. You know, so and on their personal capacity. So that's what frustrates us. But let's go to this topic. Hey, yabona uBrakhuma ungithathela amagama la because this thing mangathi ayibheka iqale kakhulu with the introductions of the agents in South Africa with the mushrooming of agents. Some of them they were even explaining on other shows yabanye abantu esingesiwabize nawo la on how and how it easy to get those licenses. Some of them they even operated before even they could even acquire those licenses. Secondly, you've got an agent who's representing a coach and the players. Like I've got a coach, I'm an agent. I'm representing Kevin Hunt. But under my stable there's Kevin Hunt, Tembazwane, Gonzalez, under my stable. And those players sometimes they are free agent. So don't you think sometimes that thing's gonna play a role if I'm going to take that player to the coach or under my stable? Surely there is some sense of influence there. Nothing is like good. There's no way. There's no way. That's why you get it sometimes. Even though we know it doesn't work, they'll always say if there's a conflict of interest, you have to excuse yourself. But then the coach won't excuse himself when you bring that player for trial. He's conflicted already because we are being represented by the same person. So when our phone looks at the Jardine, And also, you look with that the artificial economy that was created in terms of the price that they put on the player's head. Most of the players, the price that they put on top of their head, they're not even worth that price. That's what also led to ukufakwa kwebhola lethu la South Africa, especially when it comes to scouting, and especially even when it comes to foreign recruitment. It happened. Kumakhelwane bethu bala ePitori kubo Brakum. And Upito, he's the one who stopped it. That's why some of them, they even fought against him there. They are still there. They don't only hate him, he stopped it. That's when Sundowns stopped buying lots of players' places and none. Pito now was in charge of buying his players and recommending which player does he want and which player does not. Because there were people there who were just buying players for no reason. Umtsimbe is not there. And it also happened if people can just go back, Gangan. There's a certain player who came to Pirate as a free agent. And at that time, Pirate was not even solid at the back. He trialed there for 2 weeks. Roland was the coach. He didn't sign him there. We might never know whether it was money wise or what, but I don't think it was mine because that player was a free agent. There was no transfer fee there. If Zoklona is free agent, then he must just leave the business. Now, you see. But Roland signed that player for Sundowns. And that player only plays the most kuma game, not even most kuma game Kev. Come in substitute now and then we just Yamaz Musangit.
Mina ngifuna ukuzingena, but it's
But
fine.
Yamaz.
Nyamaz.
But you know that play. Yamaz. The defense, central defense. Ushange igama lakhe middle name yakhe igama le-icon. Yazi laba seRobben Island igama middle name yakhe igama.
Awona manje sewuzoba yisakhona, hayi man.
Uyakuthola mama. So those things we need to look at them of it was they are really killing our soccer. The agents, the prices that they put on top of those players, and now I'm a team now by not appointing people who will do. That's why I'm a team now. They're no longer spending money on employing proper scout. Surely, if you're a proper scout, then you can scout for a team. You know your team. You know the type of players that the team will need, and then pay those guys to do that job for you. So that if also Nakona will spend some much money, but with I think as I've said, the introduction of agents just messed it up kakhulu, because nalo mfakela esithombeni lo ubhe irecord like angazi namalona ingaki lo la phezulu uthi ufike kanjani.
The thing is, because there's a question I like, there's a point you made there. Ngifuna ukuyibamba kahle mara ngizoyibamba mangibuya.
Okay.
Let me bring in Theo. Theo, what do you think about the recruitment in the country? Welcome to the show.
Let me greet you, Mr. Agent. Nabo Kumo, bo Velile, bo Super Weeks, ban Super was full, of the previous panel, about agent. Not just the agent, I told you in the group, which agent are you talking about? I asked you, are you talking about the agent or the double agent? So, over clear, please. Let me greet everyone. And, Mr. OT, that's a very interesting topic. But guys, as I said before, it's a topic that we can talk about it, but unless the people who are relevant to this situation can listen to us, it won't change, but at least we'll give the fellow fans or football lovers of what we're talking about and the mindset that they need to have when it comes to players. You listen to Rulane, and I said this, man, and I'm a supporter of Sundowns. I know they don't like it, but I will say it again. I don't like Rulane, man, because he is making the job easier for these people, but they are failing to understand the memo and going home and do what they need to do. And he's just telling them, guys, do 1, 2, 3, 4. You will get 1, 2, 3, 4 results. But it's very sad, Mr. Uti, on a serious note, you have a coach like Watazwane. He comes into a team, he says we are rebuilding. And then he says we are now profiling players based on how we want to play. based on the style of play that we want to have. We are not just going to. He makes it so clear. You know, the way you said it, I was like, okay, now this guy he has a focus on what his mandate is, and like he has I would say, a foundation. I understand. And then 6 months down the line, all of a sudden now you can see now patience from us as fans starts running out because it's funny trophy, and then boom, the next season we fire him, we bring in Unseki, we buy 9 players or 11 players. Out of those 11 players, only few are starting and only few are proper quality achieves, you understand? And only few you can see, Gucci, these guys can last 3 or 2 seasons from Chiefs and they can still give you something, a stability. You go to our arch rivals, the Pirates. Pirates is busy buying players ku midfield, kodwa kuyafana. They are busy buying strikers, kodwa kuyafana. The question is, are you buying because you want a player or are you buying because you need a player? Urulani said something low Costa. He said, I looked at him while he was playing abroad. The minute we got him, I already had prepared what I want him to do to the team. Not to go to Begenzan, I don't care what he was doing there. I prepared what I want him to do here. I had a homework that I need him to go home and check, what can I do, 1, 2, 3, 4. I love what he said. He was a winger. He said he said that he was a winger. And I told him, I don't want you to be a winger. I want to make you a false nine. I want to make you to score goals. I want you to create. But the question is, when we bring in players, as Chiefs, Pirates, Footy Super Sport, we know it development, and then to Super Sport development is Sundowns, but we don't want to argue that. We know it's Chiefs and Pirates. When we bring in players, we bring in players simply because they are hot at the moment. Billiard, why did Chiefs buy Billiard? I would tell you, because at that time, Billiard was at his prime. Billiard was whatever. He came at Chiefs, never showed up. People will come and say he didn't get the certain personnel that he wanted. But if he was a star at Sundowns, he was supposed to be a star at Chiefs. But because we are buying players, because Lente Show Kumo, agents, they come, they present something to you. When it's up to you to sit down and say, do I need this player or do I want this player? If you need him, you need to know how you're going to use him. But if you want him, vele uzomthenga azogcwalisa lana, and then kuthathwe ithombe and say, hey, we have a player that is getting paid 1,800,000. I can ask you right now, I'm a player Sundowns, how much are they getting paid? We don't know some of them. Why? Because they never came for money. They came knowing, Gucci, I have to prove a point when I get here. But because in a player age, they are motivated by money, they are motivated by this status, so they are coming to a big team. That's why they are failing. Yeah, but Mr. Oti.
Okay, I'm gonna come back. Super Sfuba, how are you?
I'm done.
I'm good, Mr. OT. How are you?
I'm okay, my brother. I'm okay. Tell me, what are your general thoughts about the recruitment in the country when it comes to players at teams? Not just Chiefs and Pirates, but in general in the league.
I think when you look at the different regions we have in the country, you find different patterns. I have found that the teams in the Western Cape are very good at bringing through youngsters. Any team from Cape Town, once they break into the PSL, you will find 16, 17-year-olds playing in a structured system, adopting very well, and usually experience is what fails them, not talent. So the guys in Cape Town are getting it right, and they got it right. IX produced a lot of youngsters in the country, and generally the Western Cape, even outside of IX coming in, the Western Cape has consistently produced especially strikers. And then when you look at the KZN region, where we get players getting recruited via trials, because there's not really a lot of structures. You get players coming to trials, players like Tapelo Koki. You get lucky, you get into the PSL, you escalate all the way to a Pirates. But then when you get to a professional level, you see that here and there the foundation wasn't there. Yeah, basically that's what you get. So when it comes to the bigger teams, I would say that Chiefs has not had an ethos, they had a slogan.
it, initially, all the best players wanted to go to Chiefs because no team could compete financially, and Chiefs was winning everything. So they didn't have to worry about structure because all the best players went there anyway. They didn't really need to be coached. They just need to like each other and develop that relationship. Sundowns, the shoeshine and piano, I think we all know the story. Now my memory is failing me.
Yeah. Let's look at AJ. Let's get today, guys.
Mara, issue shine and piano is something that has been there Sundown since the late 80s, the concept
Yeah.
of it. And it's now in the last decade or so, which it has been realized, and it's something that is a brand that you can show out to the world to say, this is what you talk about when you say Shushan and piano. And then you can compare it to your tiki takas and your total football and your whatever. When it comes to Pirates, Pirates, I believe Evan Khoza has been a man who has always been obsessed about bringing through South African talent. He got an Augusto Palacios, who has been there nurturing South African talent for decades and brought through your Leremis, your Villagazis, and so many great talents, your Manyatelas, so many players that went through the hands of, and you even had an Orlando Pirates 11, which was 100% local. The starting 11 was made up of boys. So I don't think the problem is recruitment. I think the problem is most teams don't actually have a philosophy that they play to. And now money and agents as well, it has been well spoken about here. That now money and agents are the driving factor. And actually teams don't know how they want to play. All they know is that they want to win. And another thing, the chopping of changing of coaches is a factor. That's why I respect a coach that comes in and doesn't buy any players and doesn't sell many players. A coach like Ruud Krol came to Pirates, found what he found and made it work. No excuses. He didn't say, I need a player who can do this. Within that bunch of players, he found a player who could do that, and then he fine-tuned him for the exact role they needed. I see that Ribeiro is doing the same thing. He's not really buying players. So who is buying the players? It's the technical directors who are not really technical directors. They are agents who
I wanna get into that. I'm gonna come back because I wanna ask you that exact same question. I think for me the recruitment issue is deeper than coaches, and I think as South Africans, man, as a South African football watching public, we need to teach ourselves not to just look at coaches. Kumo, what I loved about what Urulani said, there's an office there, there's people who work in that office who create a report about how to make the team better. They come to me with a short list of players. I look at the short list of players, I look at their stuff, I check their play, I do all of that stuff, and then I take that and I make my choice, I present my choice, we sign the player, I work with the player. Meaning that even if the player moves, even if as a coach I move on, I did not decide on this player, or I did not decide on the shortlist, I did not decide on this report. I may have had a hand in it, but it didn't come from me. Therefore, it's the club saying that we have a vision, we have a style of play, and we will tell the coach, because we know the coach plays towards what we want, so that when he leaves, we're not starting over. Is this an issue that our technical director, the people who are meant to be the people that hold what the club does here, isn't the problem that these clubs don't have? These clubs maybe they're poor. That we look at the coach and we say the coach must be the one. Should it be outside of the coach, this thing?
Unfortunately, bro, most of our PSL teams have to be everything. They have to be bus drivers, technical directors, coaches, analysts. So I want Rolani himself, like he said that he's probably the least important person at Sundowns, but he's the face. I want so yeah, now he's allowed to copy what Pep does. He's allowed to do whatever he wants, but because of the type of strong leaders, partners, and directors that he has behind him, he can do and thrive. So if you go to a certain club, you go to a certain club that is fighting relegation, that's fighting man management because of some players were not paid on time, and because of he's a coach, he has to manage a situation. Or also the owners are owning the club for vibes. He has to also manage them. It's a lot for someone to bear. So blaming the coach, if only most of these players, teams, can get the same structure at Sundowns. I'm not saying they're gonna get the experience one, but also this can also be a learning curve for them by getting you, for instance, or us on this panel to come and maybe be the sports directors. I get it's also a way of actually helping us learn, and for tomorrow we can be experienced as the one at Sundowns. So having that structure might improve the recruitment process and their gameplay overall, and also having their philosophy and a form of identifiable play on the football. Yeah.
Does this also safeguard? Maybe you could make a comment on that, because if the agent is the agent of the coach and the player, but the technical director, I've got nothing to do with you guys. You guys are coming and presenting players here. I don't want to sign them. They're not in line with doesn't that also help in the corruption?
It might help because of now if we're a team of coaches, technical directors, scouts, and whatever, we might have positioning in the team. Now, as an agent, we told you that we're looking for a right back. So you have to tell us, why is Modao the best right back currently? So you're going to have to do a presentation, you're going to have to do a SWOT analysis, and you have to motivate for that team on why we should take him over Ulu, So now, having that, now everyone, you can bribe 1 or 2 people, but now you can bribe 10. Even if you have so much money, one is also gonna fall. So it also is gonna make the agent's job thrive like the way it's supposed to be, and stop relying on influence and celebrity and money to just be an agent. Now you're gonna have to actually work hard and work hard to improve the players and for the team that you are representing as well.
Let me go to Velile. Just recently, Coach Musmuzi, Coach Kanu, Coach Musmuzi Vilagazi, they asked him why he left Ichipa. And he said that, you know what, I was in a role that didn't match what I knew. So they wanted me to be a technical director. I was a technical director. I took the job. But then I could see, man, just in a couple of weeks in that Lento, it doesn't jibe with me because I don't have those skills. Are we lacking our technical director where they can say, no, guys, I am the one, Opeti culture club. And then coach, yes, we bring in a coach to make decisions, some decisions, but as a club, we are going to tell you some things. As Urulani says, I don't compile it. They tell me what to do better. They give me a short list. They maybe ask me in terms of personnel. They go and compile a list. It's outside of the coach. Is it a thing, man? Should it be a thing at all clubs?
Sekasitshelile ukuthi ku-Arrows uhambeleni.
Yeah.
Sekasitshelile yena ku-Arrows ukuthi uhambeleni. Akasitsheli.
He hasn't said.
Oh, should udelela uChipa ke lo. Okay. Lungile.
Friend of the show, man.
Kona basabayo ke. Yadala ujoke after kumele nje ubasprayga yiwani hawu.
Look spray ay mara velile.
Yeah, kumele nje Mana wasipreka kayiwani nje uthi kona bazobuya bagijima bathi hey khona umfosteli athi isikhathi sithi buyani vele nibalekeleni. Yabo. No man. The thing, but when it comes to South Africa, the term here technical director, is not technical director, man. Because if you look at the meaning of technical director, and you look at all the PSL clubs, Lawasege, Akasha, about technical director, aya azambisana amanzi nepetrol from kubo Butombo nabo Vilakazi. Kunama-technical director axakile sike sawabona man. Noma ke mami ama-technical director before. So it doesn't work like South Africa, that thing as technical director, because clubs here they are different. Most of the teams here in South Africa, they are just run by people who are running their team like as a business, as a source of making profit, as their business. And abanye, they don't even have enough funds, but they mostly rely on it for as a club, as a form of a business. That's why you'll find out they're not even paying players that much. Yeah, but it's only few clubs that have got money and they've also got owners who are running it as a business, but also respecting the different roles that each and every individual bring good team. You look out for the teams that I can say they don't interfere too much or giving people their role, especially the coaches. Singasho ukuthi Sundowns uRolanda ngasho ukuthi is the least important person, but you can see his influence when it comes, because when he articulates about different players that are brought on the system, yes, Sundowns, and also you go to a team like Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch, I can also say now, Steve Barker, I can say if it is the only person who is in charge of his team, that one we can even call him a manager, because he runs the shows there on what's happening. You know, when they sign the player, he's the one who's speaking. You don't even know who's the CEO there. As much as we know the owner in terms of like the share scheme, but Steve Barker runs the show. Another one, Gavin Hunt, Super Sport. No, now he's in charge in terms of like wanting his own players and also according to his system. Because uphumile Nkohle uyichaze kahle when he said it goes according nakhona to his scouting and the province and in the of which he also mentioned with Cape Town or Western Cape used to come in correctly. How they find it right? Because it was implemented initially. It was implemented by EHX Amsterdam's with the stream say EHX Cape Town, of which you could see sometimes the recruitment policy. Most of the players, as much as abanye babavela from their development, but others, most of them, they were pulled from his school of excellence to Ajax Cape Town, and also from the Ajax to Ajax Amsterdam. That's why you see about Pinari, Bahamba Bayalena, and about Ninja Mufukeng from the school of excellence, who were used like sort of that conveyor belt from the Ajax Amsterdam. But recruitment, that's why we pinpoint that directly. Ukuthi is an issue in South Africa general, right? No, in a breakdowns, because you've got different type of owners who are operating their team ngendlela zabo. You look at the team in Polokwane City. You never know nje kahle kahle lapho ukuthi kwenzakalani. And you might never even know their recruitment policy or kwenzakalani. So, but we know there's a team called Polokwane City, and also now there's Sekhukhune now. There's you see the different. That's why if you look at how Stellenbosch is run, how Polokwane City is run, how Golden Arrows it's run on the other side, and now Richards Bay. AmaZulu now azenzela ngeyawo indlela, you'll find the president buying 11 players, announce them at the same time, without even knowing what will be the system and what was the recruitment criteria there that happened before, or just the players were just out of contract, they buy them. There are some other teams that they only go out for players that are out of contract because they could afford them. You won't blame them that much. But others, they are prepared to recruit direct players that will fit in their philosophy according to the style of play that will want to be implemented by the coach. But as much as we know also with even the team now, they've got a style of play that is identified by the management structures. That's why you'll never find the coach coming and say, everybody will want umshishe teamini yakhe.
Mm, mm,
If you can ask any coach, mangathi ufuna yiphi player ngakhethi ngiyamfuna umshishi,
mm,
or I want uMaswanganyo, I want uMaseko, I want uMudau, but can you afford him? No.
mm, mm,
Okay. In the absence of those players, then who do we go to? You find that a team now buys you another right back. It's not the same level as Umudau, or it's not the same level in middle field like Umshishi, but that's what they could afford. You have to make use of it. Your system has to accommodate that player. So that's why I get when it comes to PSL, it differs according to clubs really, because they are totally different species. Mangathi uyabheka wona in general, abanye they just operate their team normally on the boot of their cars, like business, like ispaza shop sakho nje. That, and others they are just more professional, and so it will be different. And that's where now the loophole sometimes my agent comes in, the influence, because now they'll be there always with the way. That's why I need to
Evan. Khuluma amaqiniso, that's what happens. I just while Velile is off there, I like what he's saying, but then my thing was always, you can look at signings in two ways, the way I always understood it. At Man City, they hired Chiki Begistan so that they change how the club plays behind the scenes, and Pep doesn't have to step into that because there's somebody who's already doing that behind the scenes. And how their transfers usually work is that Pep comes to them and says, I need a left back. These are my options from top priority to last priority. And then the COO and Chiki, the technical director and COO, will sit down and go, okay, these are the people that we can get. At Liverpool, Klopp has a team of people where he says that, guys, I want this type of player, or as a team, we've sat down with Klopp, he's part of the transfer committee. We want a player that does this, 2, 3, and 4. Then the stats guys go out and they go, okay, here are 7 players. This one is number 1. He's going to be the most expensive. He maybe does 24 dribbles in a game. But there's a guy in Italy who's maybe number 5 on the list, who's going to be cheaper, but according to the attributes that you're speaking about, it's right there. We've got 20, we've got 18 4 dribbles a game. So it might not be the top guy, but the bottom guy, the 5th guy, still gives you similar output. And then we go and sign the players. So I wonder if in the PSL that happens, because for me it feels as though the PSL, they go, I need a right back. I would really love Mudau. Mudau is not going to leave Sundowns. So then we just look and go, who's available, who's the right back, whether they do what we want to do or what the team looks to do. The other point I wanted to touch on with what Velile said, just to take his time a little bit, it goes back to what I was saying about the coaches. The reason why Stellenbosch has run so good, it's not just about Steve Barker. His assistant coach has been with him ever since Tux. I'm forgetting his name. They're currently doing CAF A together. The head of development, I'm forgetting his name too, Van. He has been with the coach ever since. So that club runs so well because those guys who are running it have been together for a long time. My issue is, should you want to get rid of Upaka? Say you want to get rid of Upaka. Does Stellenbosch itself have people in the back who have the culture of the club and can run it from that point? Or go look for another Barker type coach? Or is it going to be up in the air again? Supersport is the exact same way. Gavin Hunt does everything. Now, when you remove Gavin Hunt, is Supersport able to stand on its own or replicate what Gavin Hunt was doing due to the culture of the club? This is why I'm saying that I feel as though in SA, the coaches are the most important person, and it shouldn't be that way. Agent, technical directors, are they hiding in the back? I've spoken before about people being hired, and these clubs have a lot of people who are hired in the background, but it seems as though, again, it comes down to the coach all the time, and maybe the coach may not be the best person to do the signings, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you're truthful in that. Excuse me. I think first things first, I wanted to give 3 examples, two are from Abu Chiefs, but it's fine. Who in his right state of mind says to whoever is making power, who has the power to make these decisions, that I'm gonna bring in a player from South America on a loan. That alone is a big red flag. You're like, loan from a different continent. You know, loan abo Botswana, I can say I understand. Kibo Maki, abo Lesotho, I can understand. But from all the way from South America, you know, it raises questions that the Chiefs management and team who are responsible for this, so it is a good idea, you know. And I want to bring in the Black Panther. He comes in, he trials, and that is already a red flag. A big team such as Chiefs holding a trial, that's one red flag. It reminds me of a team which was it cheaper or who pushed that on social
cheaper,
media.
yeah, it was cheaper.
You know, that's comical, you know. And then the player fails the trials, and who in his right mind says, no man, come back and help us after you failed the trial, you know. So I think it just shows impulsiveness, you know, as opposed to methodology, you know. And it's the question becomes, Sundowns is getting these players. It's not just from Chile, it's from different South American teams. We have had Aboya Enek Zagri, we have had many players, you know. It's what is important is the scouting satellite or network, you know. Give me any tournament anywhere which is FIFA recognized that Sundowns doesn't send a scout. Any tournament, FIFA World Cup, Chen, whatever, you know. And on top of that, in each continent, they have like scouting networks. They've teamed up with local scout. I think I was trying to find the name of this guy who was explaining to how they do it at Sundowns. He's like, what we do is beginning of the year, or end of the year, sorry, they have a Zoom meeting, all the scouts, and it's like they have scouts in each kind of region, and each region they outsource scouts locally, you know, so they can find a player in a small village in Chile because they not necessarily have a scout in Chile, they have a scout in South America who has local scouts who are being outsourced, you know. And is that kind of methodology where it's easy for Fogland to say, I'm the striker, and they search across the continent and say, we have a striker, we have him, so this is what he can do, you know. And I think also it goes back to the structure, you know. Structure, firstly, in terms of how the football plays. I think I once shared a video by Ralf Ragnick, one of the best technical directors you'll ever find, you know. He says, at the big banner should be, how do you want to play? And then underneath it, that's when other things come in, the players and everything. But the big heading should be, how do you want to play? You know, hence Sundowns will never sign Esaling, you know, because Esaling doesn't fit in with how Sundowns want to play, you know. And the reason why Chiefs is having problems is they have a concoction of different players from different systems, and that's a problem. Because now you have given in, you are signing players for the coach, not for the team. You know, when the coach leaves, he leaves those players, and then another coach comes and is like, but Katsande's not my bread and butter. I need someone.
But he's still got a 4-year contract. Still got 3 years left.
Contract, you know. So that's the problem. That's why you have to first have a structure and see, as Chiefs, as far as how do you wanna play, and then I can bring in other players from there, you know. And I like what Ulani was saying in the sense that it shows, and I think there's a question that you asked Kumo, does it reduce the corruption or whatever it is there, you know, favoritism or whatever, you know. The team is saying, we have given you said you want a striker, we have 5 people, choose from there, you know. So even if Ulani goes today, you know, still one of the 5 people I still want to come, and it doesn't matter who they are, because they're gonna fit the Sundowns way, hence internationally, and they are always spot on the players that they bring in. Really do find the Sundowns bringing in international players not spot on, and I think also it goes to the importance of the technical director. I think in the past 2 seasons, Sundowns is not necessarily locally going for, I think it's a mixture of expensive players and cheap players. People forget that we took Omodao from, was it a relegating or relegated Black Leopards? We took recently Unku, so these are the players who are not necessarily high-end players, and excuse me, but they feed the system, so it's not about money, it's about, can you buy a player who feeds the system? Now tell me, did Chiefs, Pirates, and other teams not see Modao that this can be the next best right back, and from getting in a player, it's not enough to get in a player who feeds the system. It's, can you get in a player and polish him and make him better? Look at all the players that go to Sundowns, they improve, and you go to other teams, you take a star player and he digresses. That's the problem, so the player should be important and the coaching should also be important, and look at what Uglan was saying with Rubiero, that we saw him, it's like, no, we don't need you there, but you need you here, and you need to do this to improve. How many teams are doing that in PSL? So I think that's the problem, that it's a concoction of getting the right players and getting in getting in the right coaching. I think Uspelele Nchangase was one of the best passers of the ball. I think he was going to fit in Chiefs, but what happened? Best player. I can go on the players that I think are good and are good enough for Chiefs, but when they go there, it becomes a bit of a problem.
Okay. Super. Same question to you. These technical directors, man, shouldn't these things lie outside of the coach? Because I feel as though one of the problems of EPSL is that our coach Ucoach and he says, I want to implement a style of play. I need you to buy 10 players. Team signs 10 players. Then the new coach is fired, and then all of a sudden, new coach comes in, he looks at the 10 players that were signed and he says, Lava, I don't know what to do with them, but those 10 players are on 3-year contracts. Instead of the signing being in collaboration with the coach, but more for the style of play of the team, and then you then get a coach that plays that style of play, and then you get players that play that style of play. Masing Faru coach, I can bring in another coach who plays a similar thing, but we know what we're doing with these players. Do we make it too much of the coach's job?
I think I mentioned earlier that I have the most respect, and usually it's going to be coaches from outside. I have the most respect for a coach who can come into a club and say, I'm not going to make any signings. That's when you've got a real professional on your hands. It's a person who admits that they don't know the league, and a person who says, I will see what you have, and then I will make the team play to its strengths. And I think in the PSL, there's only been one coach like that, and that was Pizzo. Pizzo is the only person who transgressed being a coach with an identity to being a coach to bring an identity to any club. Right now, he's making all of these boring Arab clubs play the most beautiful, watchable football. And he's not making signings because he doesn't know the league. He studies the team he's going to work for, and then he studies the league when he's already arrived. So it is a lack of skill from our coaches, I must say, from some of our local coaches. It is a lack of structure from the clubs, and it's also a thing, when I ended my last bit, it's club legends sitting in technical director positions. Friends of the chairman being the eyes and the ears of the chairman on the pitch, instead of having a person who's going to be there to implement a short, medium, and long-term plan for the club to say,
Yeah.
you know what, whoever coach who comes in here, we just tell them this is how we play, and then they can put their own spin on it without changing the identity of the club.
Yeah.
So in the country, I think there's only 2 teams that are basically like that. We know the 2 teams who they are. Sun, the Shushan and Piano, and Pirates is a very organized team, and Pirates always plays fast-running football. So even though Pirates doesn't necessarily have a philosophy, Pirates does have a rigid structure, which doesn't change regardless of the coach, and that's why they the consistency to say whatever happens in the season, Pirates is going to be in the top 3. So when you have a situation with the Steve Barker, when the ownership is not happy with what is happening on the log, they chase him out. There's a total collapse. It cannot be like as the panel said mentioned earlier. There's 2 types of club owners. They actually mentioned the one type of club owner who is there to make money off players. There's the second club owner who has a lot of money to spare and doesn't actually understand the deep-rootedness of the football. He's just riding the coattail of being a club owner who wins the premiership. He just wants to replicate what he's seeing in Europe with Abu Abramovich and what farms. So we do have it's not actually a challenge, but it's a growth point of which Sundowns is leading the charge. You must give them credit. Sundowns is leading the charge to say, guys, now our league needs to evolve to the next level. I think hence why Rulani was speaking so freely in the interview to say, but this is information that we should be freely sharing in workshops as South African coaches, as South African technical directors. It shouldn't come as a surprise that I'm speaking about this. And that's my problem is we need to have professionals in their roles at all clubs. Yeah.
Velile, did I ask you this question?
Ya ngibuzile mdaba kodwa ngithi ngisale
Yeah.
ngakhathala kwahamba ugesi lana so eish.
Ufuna
So
ukuqedelela, or can I go on to the next one?
No sebayibekile nje abafowethu. Ngasho nje njengoba lami lokugcina nje ukuthi la eSouth Africa indaba yobu technical director ayikaze yasebenza.
Yeah.
Ngoba vele ayikho ifakela nje ukuhlonipha. uNelthovu sase i-technical director kuSAFA namanje.
I think Stenbok now.
Sekayini.
A manager or something, I think.
Uyazibona. So iyo ngisho ukuthi ezinye ama-technical director la ekhaya ku-PSL cha ayisebenzi. Ayisebenzi because vele awakhethwa ngendlela ukuthi this person supposed to bring in a philosophy and a structure from good development if i-team develop until to the first team, even though angeke abe kakhulu kangako ku-first team because the first team i-coach yiyo runner the show there in terms of the system that they play. But at least that sort of like a structure, that conveyor belt ebekhona if you look at ku-Pirates kudala ku-development sasewuphala shows, you look at the players that they were producing, abovilakazi, abomakhanya, Mokwena, Leremi, they were sort of, you could see with these people, they've got a similar structure of playing regardless of what they were doing. 1 or 2 players because you look at the Iraga part pitch, they only bought added Bagdina at the back, and then was immediately was Onyekachi Ogongo, and then the other ones Zamixer. That's why you even had system Jatisa, whereby no Jatisa, no OTG. South African players, but most I can even tell you within on those teams, 6 or 7 players were from Pirates development. So already they've got a structure. but not in sometimes not in a form of a technical director, but a form of like a development coaching. Because at that time you find there's used to have under 12, 17, and 19, if I'm not wrong. So it's bigger now in terms of like organizing structure, and also it's good as place for scouting for first team coach to know good, yes, as much as I might not get players from Gubi, but I do have players khona la ekhaya.
Yeah.
Ihambe yahamba yafeyida kancane isikhathi masibhizi hamba when ubaba uShabalala tend to be more involved kakhulu now in terms of running those things. Because before bengasi kangako, but manje no. Sekuye vele orun ishow. That's why you find that at sometimes ama-agent ake ambhayisisa naye amlethela umuntu obuye eNigeria bekadlala i-6-a-side lapha eHillbrow u-Otoroko wamsayina naye angazi ukuthi yeyi lo muntu lona hayi basishayile la. So i-agent yamnokha lapha yena. So nakuthi nakini kudala bakunokha
Dala basinokha.
kudala yabakhumbula abowasiwe ipaye laphayana abolikwane nani kodwa
Abanye never even put on a Chiefs kit, mara. Basayinile, then they were moved on before.
Hey, don't ungayikhulumi but yeah, so far kona injalo yomntana. That's why yeah, it's different team on how they run their business, but the technical director thing, like I know, they just put anyone nje ukuthi is a technical director. You look for closer now, you go by technical director most like
Yeah, yes.
So
Yes.
so you see, ayibona ukuthi uhlulekile lo muntu akayi no.
And again, the funny thing is they were gonna keep him, and he's the one who said, yeah.
Uyayibona. So ayisebenzi kangako vele siyazi bakuthiwa sowulapha isithi uzothola umsebenzi or indlela yakhe yokuphuma to wait la mawuthi uyi-technical director la ekhaya. So injalo nje mntaka baba.
I'm gonna since let me go back to Kumo. Two things. Our coach is stubborn because I want to take you to the pitch now. You didn't get the players you wanted. You're not going to be able to play your style of play fully. But now you are trying to make somebody a left back, and they're not a left back. You're trying to play somebody in a different way. Our coach is stubborn when it comes down to now on the pitch, and then your closing statements for tonight.
What do you mean they are stubborn? Are they stubborn in terms of like they do not want to take direction, or they are forced to make do with what they have?
I mean it in you. Yeah, okay, fine. Let's say the club didn't give you everything you wanted, but now you've got the squad, and now I find Chivavairo running on the wing, or I find Swallows. I'll use the Swallows example, playing out from the back. 8 times they've been caught out, but they carry on doing it. They're trying to retrofit players into a system that you want to play instead of going, "Hi guys, these are the players I have. Let me make it work."
I wanna, as a coach, you're supposed to make do with what you have, ne? And having a stubborn coach, it's a good and a bad thing, because like we always accuse Hugo Bruce of being stubborn, like he doesn't want to take direction, and sometimes he does learn from his mistakes, ne? But also, you can also be stubborn in a good sense. Like, for instance, Peter Musimani, he knew what he wanted to implement there at Sundowns, and he didn't care to listen to the naysayers. So having him with a bit of arrogance, confidence, and stubbornness made him to prove to the world that he's a phenomenal coach. So also, like, having the scraps that you are dealt with also makes you become a legendary coach. You know, if you could put Gavin Hunter's resources, if you could put who's struggling now, then Smalisela, even though he's there in the NFD, but if he was still at okay, let's take this guy Oko Jwaning.
Yeah.
Ne? Look at what he's achieving so far. He's beating these so-called big teams. He's being stubborn. He went to Botswana because he was struggling here in South Africa. That's a form of stubbornness that you look for in a coach. Now he's proving his mental there. He's proving that he's a great coach. Just that he needs someone to believe in him, and he can now. If he leaves joining, he's gonna be hard property when he comes back to the PSL. So being stubborn, it can be good and also can be bad. Just feel like if you bring results, then no one is gonna care about your stubbornness.
Closing statements for today.
Closing statements for today, ne? No, like today we spoke about we spoke about so many topics, but like, man, I don't know how we can also as the youth, because now you were saying, how can we get the next Trot Molotos to be the administrators for SAFA? Later, like, we need to know there's actually a way. These people need to open channels for us to participate, because we do have some ideas that we can implement there, and we can clearly do a better job, or because we can't be having the same old ancestors that are comfortable, that are too tight for their belts anymore. So we need to see changes, and us as people here, we need to implement those, and also we need to be stubborn by forcing those changes. That's my 2 cents for tonight. And again, thank you for the great show, man.
No stress, Kumo. Because that's where everybody takes each other on. Proper. Agent, our coach is stubborn, and what are your closing statements? And I mean stubborn in terms of now you've got the players, they are here. You can't change them. The window is 5 months away. You might not even get players in the window, but you're still trying to make these guys play a football that they don't understand. Our coach is stubborn a little bit.
I think maybe the question is, our coach is stubborn, or is the book that they are reading stubborn? Well, I think is the latter. I think it's the book which is stubborn, And like you always put it, this thing of copying page 9 without reading what was happening before page 9 will get coaches fired, because you see Urulani or Pizzo converting Morena to a left back, to a full back instead of a winger. You see them converting Mukoti from midfield to defender. You see all those things, and you want to copy. Yes, it's good to copy, but are you copying it having read what they want to achieve, and you don't know what they saw in Kotie to make him a defender from midfield? You make your own full analysis, and I think it's just the manual that says a players to be utility player. You have to try players in different positions. But is it working for you? And do you have to do that? And for what you want to achieve, do you need utility players? Do you need players who can play 2 positions? Or you need specialists for a particular position? So I think this is the stubbornness that I'm against there, where like you don't have to always apply the FIFA handbook, just it should be situation based, and I think also in terms of play, say what you may about Coach Jose. Coach Jose comes, not even Coach Jose, foreign coaches. First season they come in, they do a job, they go. So what's holding the local the local what are they, managers or coaches, from doing that? You must learn to know. I think this is what Urulani learned last season, that not every game needs tiki-taka, So when our coach is gonna learn that, okay, fine, I'm in a Chiefs team as Kevin Johnson, I'm expected to play this certain way. And I think, let me go to Ten Hag. Ten Hag said something 2 weeks back. He said, I'm not here to make Manchester United play the Ajax way, I'm here to make Manchester United play the Manchester United way, because he has speedy players. He doesn't have tiki-taka players, but he has speedy players. So I feel like is what coaches should do. You know, look at the players and then implement a style. I'm sure in local football there is no coaching or coaches who say we are going to the school of Johan Cruyff. You know, there's no Johan Cruyff football here. You know, I'm sure you are taught all the tactics. Then it's up to you to pick and choose. So I'm sure coaches have to do that. And forget. And lastly, as my closing statement, I think. Oh, sorry, guys. My mind is off somewhere. My mind is elsewhere. My mind is elsewhere, guys. Elsewhere, guys. Hey, I think I should. But anyways, I should start a GoFundMe, eh? But what was I saying? I think teams shouldn't be greedy, you know. We saw what Greg did to Jomo Cosmos. This thing of having being a coach, being a technical director, being a what, it won't work in the long run. You know, we saw with Jomo that this won't work. You know, and sometimes you find a job which has been done by 10 people at Sundowns, it's been done by 2 people somewhere. You know, and you expect those people to play in the same playing field or do the same job, you know. And I think we are not yet at a level in a country where we are producing managers instead of coaches. I think we're still in a level where we're producing coaches. You know, I think the only manager that we've produced is a given hand. You know, Peter is a coach, not a manager. You know, he wants things to be done for him, and then he just focuses just on the pitch. You know, so I think that's what we have to do. We have to, if you're asking them to be coaches, let's not make them managers. Let's provide the right platform, the right people around them, so that their only job is to focus on the field, and then we can judge them from that. So yeah.
Okay. Hey, Super, I know I'm throwing you in here, but our coach is stubborn. And what are your closing statements for tonight?
I don't think our coaches are stubborn. I think we've just got a lot of people doing the wrong job. We've got a lot of people being thrust in the deep end because there's a skills gap.
Yeah.
Well, you have a lot, not even just in South Africa. That's why on the continent you have a lot of European coaches on the continent,
Yes.
and a lot of them quality coaches, but a lot of them are plumbers. But there are plumbers that are at a much higher level than our local coaches, so we wouldn't even. In terms of using players in different positions, I think maybe we're blowing it out of proportion. Players have always changed positions. I mean, a player like Mark Fish started out as a striker. It's very common to find players that move back from midfield into the defense or move from right back into center back. I don't think there's anything wrong with equipping a player with a skill set earlier in his career, which is something that the Dutch have consistently done, and it has consistently worked. Why they will never lack for young talent, because every talent at Ajax, for example, has 4 coaches at every level. If you go through, you've got 4 coaches, 4 different people on you, as opposed to 1 coach at each level, and maybe coming across 1 or 2 decent coaches before you are actually spotted on your road. So I don't think it's coaches being stubborn. It's also coaches trying to be versatile, because the club owners don't have the kind of budgets that the coaches are looking for. So what do you do then in an environment where the game is so much more competitive? It's not like when Bushakes Kungwane were playing, where players are training twice a week and the injuries are not so severe. And you've got your players. Baseka Marco is currently out for most of the remainder of the season, 6 months, I think. You understand? So if you are not prepared to lose both of your starting left backs, what are you going to do when it happens? Are you going to say, oh, bad luck? And no, I don't think a coach or a manager can blame bad luck. It's a lack of preparation. So I don't
But
have
should
any.
you be preparing at the expense of the results? I think that's what I'm trying to say. That I don't mind experimentation, but if experimentation you're doing it at the detriment of the results, where this thing is not working, we're watching you do it and it's not working, and now the team is losing points or whatever. Shouldn't at some point it click and say, ah, guys, I know what I want to do, but I also need to understand that now I must earn the time. These clubs are not going to keep me if the results are not coming. So I may have to do something I don't like for this year so I may earn the next two, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. It depends on the club targets. Eh? If the club is to be in the top 8 and you are firmly in the top 8, then you can start preparing for next season. I mean, you know, we have a crazy league. We have a crazy league where the team is the team that faces Sundowns in the Nedbank Cup final, and then they are in Africa. So you can't not consider what can happen in the future. If you're chasing the league, if you're in a serious chase for the league or a cap spot, you cannot be doing those things. If you are secure in your top 8 position or your middle table position, and you are happy with your targets having been met, then you can allow the coach to do that. Also, in relegation, unfortunately now the preseason is not like what it was before. Preseason is very short. Clubs don't really get a lot of time to prepare for the new season. Sometimes you make those adjustments in the first third or so of the season. If is, you know, there's a lot. For example, I'll use Orlando Pirates. What happened with Vincent Pule and Mkabelo Dlamini last season? That was a huge disruption for the club. And it could have possibly been the reason why they didn't win the league. Not because Sundowns was better, but there was something happening in the background. So, having gone through that last season, it would be prudent for the club to be better prepared. Should the players also go through another personal tragedy, that they can have another player who can slot in and things can go on smoothly. So I just think it depends on what are your targets and how close are you to achieving them.
Okay, no, I hear you. Velile, our coach is stubborn, and your closing statements for today.
Mm, it depends on which way are they stubborn. Are they stubborn when they are facing a situation whereby they have to try and implement new tactics in playing a different player to a different position, or whether like are they forced to play that players there? Because we remember we had that same situation with our coach last year, whereby he played Umarko on the right hand side for 3 to 4 consecutive games without any results. And coaching in South Africa, if he was at Chippa United with those 4 games, he will be gone. So there is no room for stubbornness there if something is not working.
Yeah.
So there's 2 ways. Either we are forced to do that, or you are trying to implement a new strategy. But also, if you are trying to implement a new strategy, you still need also to identify the qualities of that player that you are going to put it in that position. For example, if you are going to change a central player into a wing, that player, you know, for once you take that to a wing, you must know if he must have a pace. He must be able, sometimes if is not a right-footed player, he must be able to cut inside and shoot with his left hand foot. But if you cannot do that, you are just being stubborn for experimenting something just because you're a coach. You want to see if it will work or not. It won't, because there's certain identification that you need to see first before you could even do that. But if you're in a situation whereby it's an injury, in that way we cannot debate so much. It just as Ubuntu Super Chilo, it gives an opportunity for you like to prepare more better for the coming up season, because already we have faced that situation, and it created a problem for you. As much as
Yeah.
it's not it's creating problem Nagiti man with our two left backs.
Right backs.
Two
Oh
left
yeah,
back injured,
left
even
backs.
the right two left back Marco no Mail. That's
No
why we know to
Shandu. Isn't Shandu also?
now Shandu Monyana na Ulimele. So you will, which means you will need to buy another right back in January. So you see, that's why that on that one it gives you an opportunity to see, no, yeah, I faced this challenge, but how do I counter that? And also it must shows you ukuthi, mangithi the players that we have and their strongest ability. You've got our right back Monyane no Shandu. They're not strong when it comes to defensively. So it shows you there. I've got these two reliable right back, but the day I will find a team that will identify that, hey, these guys know they're good when I'm moving forward, but defensive they're a problem. And that's where you will need a proper right back who is a man marker, who is a good defensively. Of which they did try. I heard he's a good defender in terms that one's a proper right back as compared to Bonner, but they're more like right wings because they're even moving forward, they're so good in doing that. So that's why stubbornness, you need to separate it in which way. Because hayikushipa kona uzohamba mawudliwe.
But shouldn't our team wethu? I think what I'm trying to get to here is it sometimes feels like our coach bethu are so comfortable in their jobs and so comfortable ukuthi uvelile mangimhayara. I'm not asking him for the league. I'm not asking him for top 3. I'm not asking him for top 5. Sonke topic. I remember Coach Kanu, when we asked him about Golden Arrows, what was their mandate? He was like, no, the team allowed us to come up with our mandate. And it's like, shouldn't our coaches, and I think that attitude feeds into anything as long as number 7. Whatever I want to do, stubborn, I can complain about players, I can make it about all that stuff instead of getting results. Isn't that one of the factors?
Yeah. It goes back to the issue that once you once raised about the personal ambitions your coach. Of which you were able to identify because they've just starting now, and of which we know
and they pushed Chem, the two of them. Coach Kanu, they pushed.
Bapushile. Siyazi ku-Argos akunapressure kangako because if you look at the Argos, their system of doing things, they don't buy players. They do trials, okay, and they identify those type of players. They groom them and then they sell them. That's their business model. So I'm a coach. That's why they even back about relegate even after the Babu or Sean Bartlett. Because if that's your business model, you are in one of the day you are going to be relegated. Relegated. Ujomo relegated because that was also his business model. So you must be prepared to face those consequences. But when I'm saying to the issue, personal ambition, your coach, this season, like you have identified coach Steve Park, who has been coaching President for how many years? From Goma Tax, Namai Gusten Bosch, I don't know how many years. Uzoshuti. This year I'm going for this cup or I'm going for the league. I've been a coach for so many years, and this is what this is what I want to achieve. Me Namanje. Yes, I've got this type of players, but this year, if it's talent push, this year take no, this year target for me and this team is to win the league and stamp your authority. Then it's a good stubbornness, that one. But if we go to my team, you know, you will be fired. Yes, you can, but uzohamba. So it works in both ways.
Okay. No. Thank you so much, Velile.
Yeah, and also closing statement. We see abafowethu bakhona la on the panel my members were overthinking football. If there are people who are involved, as the CBS Kuluma on the side, Lano no Brakumo, if people who are involved or who got knowledge local football association whereby probably maybe they could help even if banama trial whether for under 14, 17 young kids, if they could just shout it out also bafake lana and say they're gonna my trailer teaser. Because some of us we know kids around like emalokishini la, maybe if kuyakhonakala sinawo amandla sibhadale lo taxi or nini eyayo lapho just for trials and sisizame inhlanhla, even though thina abanye we've been to trials, we know kwenzakalani lapho kunzima, but that's why singana ama-player we know lapha kuma-trials kwenzakalani yabona. But go to just that shout out nje mangabe kukhona ukwazi whether is in Pretoria or where Midrand or Sethembisa or Soweto, just shout out sibone, if just asazi mhlambe who knows, maybe we can one of the good days asingasho ukuthi akuthi yabazi base baqhombe identify mina lo yimi ngam-identifier kanti cha umkhaphe nje nge-transport wanceda
Yeah.
yabona.
No stress, no stress. I'm always open. Like Kumbula, tournament namtambo, they reached out Roni, reached out. Me, I'm open. I'm always open.
No. Sengisho kubafowethu abanye ukuthi bayazi ukuthi kwenzakalani esamweni, yabona, bangathuli nalolu lwazi lo, silahlele sibone nje ukuthi kungancedakala kuphi.
No stress. I'm always open.
Mhlamba ke sikhona ukuyale kubobhutulo khunjana le eMlazi. Ubhutu lo we-Sundowns le uxolani le Mlazi kude kakhulu ke sikhona ukufika kodwa naye
sekazabona le Eastern Cape ngale.
Bazabona bahlanganisa ngale mdansana nalapha eMlazi nje babona bakhulume nje.
No, phela imali yafika yona, ngithi yafika imali. Ayina taxi egibelayo.
Wena sizame yesiphushe enda kulelo side lelo bafowethu.
Okay, no, thank you so much.
Okay,
look, my closing statements are very simple about these type of things. I think the fact that our teams are run this way should be a worrying factor. I think the fact that we don't know who the technical director at Kaizer Chiefs is, for example, should be a worrying factor. The fact that we don't know about the hundreds, I think, of other people that work in these different teams. And we don't ask them questions. Similar to the conversation we had about SAFA just now. There's so many people who work there that we don't know, that now it becomes a problem because I only look at the coach. Maybe a certain team is doing badly or good or whatever because there's someone, Manoshe is in the back, who's doing the work or who isn't doing the work alternatively. I think we have a bad culture in South Africa of expecting Abo Coach Bear to do everything. Coach Wateng, you must be the coach, you must be the scouter, you must be the signer, you must be the person who speaks in the back. I remember Roger Tisa, at some point you were CEO while being coach. We do these things where we give these coaches so much power and we wonder when it doesn't work. Guys, you don't start with the coach to give you a style of play. You don't start there, or you're not meant to start there. As a club, you're meant to go, guys, we really want to play like this. I want to play like Barcelona. How then do we make sure that everything behind closed doors is working towards us becoming that? So that when we go look for a coach, it's easier. When we go look for players, it's easier because we know exactly what we're looking for. But we have a culture in South Africa where a coach dictates. A coach is hired, he signs 9 players. Coach is fired. Another coach comes in, he wants to play a completely different way, but now he's got 9 players who are on contract. Instead of the club going, it's our... I love what Rulani said in that video that I played in the beginning. Well, Rulani was like, guys, I get a report from the club that says these are the things we can do to be better, not just transfer and personnel. He gets a report. He probably has input on, I would love a player that does this and this, and then those guys in the back go, does these players fit with the long-term goals of the Sundowns? Do these players do this? Okay, Rulani, here are 5 names. Then Rulani has homework to go and look at these guys, study them, and then pick the best one, and then present to say, I want this one because of 1, 2, 3. Then the technical stuff again goes back. You get what I mean? It's outside of him. He has to worry about the coaching. The fact that Sundowns plays the same football, Rulani plays the same football, Pracheri, with the ladies, play the same football, DDC. And none of these coaches cross-coach. It's because there is a vision, a plan, a style of play that comes from somewhere external to the coaches that dictates what everybody does. But we're going to carry on firing coaches and getting rid of coaches if every time I, as a club, am moving, the coach changes every single thing. Can you imagine that? Think about that. Can you imagine living in a house where every couple of years somebody comes in and redecorates the whole thing? You don't know where to find your spoons tomorrow. That person has left. Now we start from scratch. It makes no sense. So our clubs need to get better. In terms of the stubbornness of coaches, like it or not, these are your players. You can complain, you can talk about Sundowns, you can want to do this, but these are your players. And I think our coaches are so comfortable in their jobs and knowing that they don't need to go fetch something and go do something big. They're so comfortable that they're willing to sit back and you watch them make the same mistakes 7 weeks in a row. 8 weeks in a row, 13 games into a season, people are still telling you that, oh, we're trying to find ourselves and we're trying to teach ourselves how to do whatever. 13 games in, of a 30-game season, already they don't know what to do at that point. That makes no sense. And that, for me, comes from not having pressure. Comes from not having pressure. What pressure does Steve Barker have at Stellenbosch? I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but I'm asking you, what pressure does Steve Barker have at Stellenbosch? When one, he knows that the goal is not for him to go and win the league, as far as I understand. But number two, I run this club. When the board has to sit down and decide whether to fire me, I run it. Oh, you're going to get rid of me, and you're going to get rid of Wes, and you're going to get rid of Van. Good luck, because I control all of this. You're starting from scratch. Now he can't get fired. Oh, now what's driving him to go win the league? When you watch the coaches on TV, we watched the press conferences of Steve Kompela and Kevin Johnson. Steve Kompela came out and said, oh, we did this thing where we're playing out from the back and we tweaked it slightly and they caught us out. They caught you out 8 times and you did nothing about it. Then Kevin Johnson comes out and says, kudos to Coach Steve Kompela for sticking with this thing. And you're like, oh, but why are you sticking with this thing if results are paramount? Clearly results are not paramount, so why are you here? There's so many things, man, that we can look at and so many different ways to attack these type of things. But for me, it becomes, I want a sense of urgency. I want a sense of urgency from players. Things are going wrong. I'm going to jara this team on my back, and I'm going to take it on today and get us the result. I want it from the coaches. Yes, I have this grand scheme of playing like Barcelona, but if I want to earn my next 2 years at this club, I need to win. So that means looking at my club and saying, these are the players I have. I'm gonna orientate my style of play, my tactics towards these group of players so that we can win. Sizayibona phambili indaba yokuthi we need to go play a certain way. Urgency. I want to see an urgency from the club where they go, we can't keep hiring and firing coaches. Nje. Let's bring in technical directors. Let's do the hard work so that we can set up our clubs for the next 5 years. Most of the clubs in the PSL, what are their 5-year plans? Can you see it? From the last 5 years, have you seen an improvement? Have you seen a change? Have you seen where? But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Wonderful conversation as usual. If you're late, they are available on Facebook and YouTube in full, as well as other incredible conversations that we have had on this platform. If you have not followed, please follow. Do me the favor of following this TikTok page, following the Facebook page, following the YouTube page. We are live on all 3. We do have a WhatsApp group. That's where most of the conversations start, and most of the conversations get had in much more detail. Sometimes for hours, we go back and forth with the people that are in here, the wonderful panel members, Abo Veli, Labo Agent, all those guys. We have really dope conversations that don't have time constraints, and those come from WhatsApp. So to join the WhatsApp group, the YouTube channel, Overthinking Football Show, subscribe, but then click join for just 20 Rand. 20 Rand a month. you'll be able to get access to that WhatsApp group and also member-only discussions as well, and offline discussions with me too. It really does help, and also you'll be contributing towards the show. I really do need it, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. Keeping all of this up and doing this at this level is tough. So I need your contribution and support. And I know you might think 20 Rand is not a lot, but when it all comes together, it really does help keep everything up. Just 20 Rand a month. I'm not asking for huge donations and things like that. I really do need it. Pay my rent, keep the internet up, do the research, do the videos, all of that stuff at this level. I need your help on that. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll see you guys then tomorrow at 12:30.